Hello and welcome to Link from a busy and windy King's Cross in London. No Sarah Miller today. After 7 years with the programme, she feels the time has come to give up her job as a co-presenter. We'll certainly miss her. In the programme, we visit the Territorial Music School, where we see how the Army is nurturing the musical and spiritual gifts of its younger members. After the emotion of commissioning day, reality dawns for the new captains as they take up their first appointments. We ask, what is the Salvation Army doing in the campaign to eradicate human trafficking? King's Cross, of course, was the scene of one of the recent London bombings, and Major Anne Reid reflects on the stark contrast of 2 successive days working and living in the nation's capital.
I love living in London. It's probably not everybody's cup of tea, but I try and make the most of all the opportunities that living in the city affords. Galleries, museums, gorgeous parks and river walks, but also to be part of the life of the city. And I was here in Trafalgar Square on the day that the announcement was made, and the 2012 Olympics goes to London. My husband and I jumped up and down and we cheered and we hugged the people next to us. It was great hearing the announcement live, but also to be part of that great celebration. Who could have known that the very next day, terrorists would detonate 4 bombs in the city? That day started for me pretty much like any other. I all too quickly read my text for the day and headed off for work in Oxford Street. The reading included the promise that God gave to Moses when he said, "My presence shall go with you, and I will give you rest." The thought that went with the text was based on a quotation by a missionary serving in Guatemala who was asked, "Is it dangerous to serve in that land?" And he replied, "Safety is not found in the absence of danger, but in the presence of the Lord." I must admit that at the start of what I thought was just another ordinary day, that thought had no great impact on my consciousness. Well, as the events of the day unfolded, that thought took on increasing significance. I find myself here at Russell Square, the site of one of the bomb blasts. I was one of a team of Salvationists who were serving drinks and sandwiches to the guys who were working below ground in the underground station in horrendous conditions. Such an amazing privilege to be here. That sense of God in this place was just overwhelming. An almost tangible sense of calm assurance, rest, because God was here. The very next week I was back here in Trafalgar Square. Representatives from the organisations that reflect the colourful diversity that is the community of London were bringing readings, poetry and religious readings, and some brought speeches. As the Salvation Army representative, I chose to read from Scripture, and I chose Psalm 121. And as I started to read, I felt not only just a little bit nervous, but also quite uncomfortable at what seemed to me the irony of what I was reading. I read, "The Lord is your shade at your right hand." The sun was scorching that evening. I continued, "The sun will not harm you by day." The Salvation Army canteen was serving water to the people who were feeling very uncomfortable under that scorching heat. I continued, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life." I wondered what the crowd must be thinking in the context of the people that had been hurt and killed just the week before. "The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." I prayed that the crowd gathered would know that this was still the truth. Well, just this week, Trafalgar Square's been full again of people, crowds celebrating the victory of the cricketers. And it's been great to be part of that too. I love living in London. I love too to know that the Lord is here, and in his presence there is rest.
Anne Reid. Bearwood College near Reading was the imposing setting for this year's Territorial Music School, where young Salvationists from all over the country relished the opportunity to develop their skills. We joined them for the week.
This year, like every year in the summer, students arrive to attend the Salvation Army Territorial Music School. This time the setting is Bearwood College in Berkshire.
It is a music school, and we want to explore people's musical gifts during that week. But it is a Salvation Army music school, and music is an aid to worship. As Salvationists, it's our love offering to God. And so music is just part of what it is to be a Salvationist. And so there is also a strong emphasis on encouraging and nurturing people's spiritual gifts as well.
That's the number for you to be able to get into the main block, okay? The main thing is the people you meet and the friends you make that actually last you a lifetime. Being able to get away and sharing with like-minded people for a week, and which deepens your faith and helps you spiritually.
I think it equips our young people to go back to their local core and to be better equipped, not only as musicians but as music leaders as well.
This is my 6th one. I've been going sort of ever since I can, and well, I guess the main thing is because I enjoy it. I wouldn't come back if I didn't enjoy it. Yeah, just get a lot out of the week musically and spiritually.
Okay. I'd like you to play a bit of section G for me, just down to the bottom of that page. Okay. Well done, Ashley. Very well done indeed. Looking forward to the week?
Yes. When the students attend Territorial, they're all auditioned so that they are appropriately placed within the band and indeed within the vocal groups as well. And during a rehearsal, there will be points at which I'll hear just the solo cornets play, or I hear just the second cornets play. And it's during at those points that with sensitivity you say, well, at that point we'll have just you two playing, or at that point all of you join in, or whatever.
We're looking for young people to be tuneful when they sing, but also to be able to communicate the words. We're obviously singing words that mean quite a lot to the people who are coming in, and so we're looking for nicely shaped phrases, but clear words and words that will communicate with an audience.
My first year was last year, and I enjoyed making a lot of new friends. I didn't really know many people at all, so it's good to come back to just get to see everyone again, and get the spiritual and musical teaching that I probably need once a year.
Well, the thing is, you could go to a music school that wasn't a church music school, like NYBB or somewhere, but coming to this music school, you get to make music for God, which is what the Army's all about.
I think for many of our young people that they want to serve God in a relevant way. I think they want to serve God using their music, and to come to TMS gives them the opportunity to become better musicians. Because they make their music predominantly in a Christian setting, in the local Salvation Army Corps, they come along here and they know there's a spiritual accent to what we do.
Okay, a cause for celebration, please. Bill Himes. Rhythmically, we've still got a lot of work to do. Dynamically, even more so. Right, 39. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, okay, now can you make that much more dance-like? Ready? Here we go. 39. Straight in and go. Right, okay, now that crescendo, hang on, whoa. This week, as you know, we're looking at the whole business of Acts 2 and the early church and the fact that they were together all the time. And our line for the week is together, together. And together means working together in harmony here and working together in our Bible study, in our living together, in our working together, in our nurturing one another as well. Okay. Whoa. And again, you hurried though. So we hope that we're getting the right balance between looking at our musical gifts and also looking at our spiritual giftedness as well.
Musically, it's quite hard, but it's good. Yeah, it's very good.
We've got lots of hours of singing a day. We've got about
8 hours singing tomorrow. 8 hours. I don't even sleep for that long. And the showers are cold. But other than that, it's fantastic.
I think when we look at Salvationist musicians and Christian musicians, but we've got to examine the roots of where that comes from, not just in Salvation Army tradition, but in the history and the story of the church and of God's people. We look in the Old Testament, the musicians were an integral part of temple worship. Here at TMS, they are the whole of the community, and in our local core, they form a crucial element to what we do in worshipping God.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're feeling nice and wide awake. Special thank you.
Every morning the students gather to watch their own breakfast TV, a light-hearted look at the previous day. Then worship follows.
Yeah, really good week. Excellent week. Musical aspects excellent, playing some good stuff, and also the spiritual aspects very fulfilling. So.
Singing's not great because I lost my voice on day 2, but it's fantastic. It's really challenging and it's a lot of fun.
Let's go from that point. We're stopped. Okay. Key change, please, ladies. Sopranos. Behold. There we go. Give us a bar in, Brian, please. Go. 2, 3, B. 3 and 4.
I want to up the whole experience of what it is to be in the Salvation Army. So I want to nurture them, I want to encourage them, I want them to have a very positive view of what it is to be in the Salvation Army. And I'm not coming at it just from a music point of view. I mean, that's my area of giftedness, and so obviously it's something that's important to me. So really, we want them to leave this year's territorial really up for being a Salvationist, really up for evangelizing, encouraging the people at their core, and getting out there and trying to bring new people into the Salvation Army.
When the sun's down the street last Sunday, feeling quite low and kind of mean, suddenly a voice said, "Come on, neighbors, spread the picture on a wider screen." And the voice said, "Neighbor, there's a billion reasons why you should be glad in all four seasons. Hit the road, neighbor, leave your worries and strife. Spread the religion of the rhythm of love.
everything's just gone really well and it's all fitted together. And it's just like being with everyone. I'm going to miss them so much when I go home. So, yeah, but it's been a really good week.
The best thing for me is probably playing in the band, playing more challenging music that you wouldn't normally probably get to play at some of your home tours.
Loved the fact that we only had one band. My hair's probably looking awful at this moment. Yeah, it was a good week. Very blessing.
Coming again just to reaffirm the friendships and to be able to again be stretched musically and spiritually.
I think it like revitalises you, helps you in your core life for when you get back also.
TMS, I learnt how I could better utilise the gifts I've been given to extend the kingdom.
It's the last day, and the students move to Reading Central Hall for the final performance.
It's something special this year. Definitely, really positive atmosphere.
My son's playing in the band, and we've come every year, and I used to go to music school, so it's an annual event. We have to do it.
I wasn't sure at the beginning, and I was like, I want to go home, but it picked up so much, and it was just absolutely an amazing experience. And I'll definitely be back next year. Maybe I'm cornet, not singing, but who knows?
There are all sorts of things that I want, having done this year, that I feel that we want and can do better next year. I'm hoping that we can have a long and fruitful association with Bearwood College, because in many ways this is just the place for us. So there are all sorts of visions like that, but really the vision is to get alongside these young people and hold them and nurture them for God and the Salvation Army.
A real sample there of the excitement and energy displayed at this year's Territorial Music School. The programme there lasted for a week. For the 40 cadets newly commissioned as captains, the commitment of ministry and service will last for a lifetime. Well, we followed 4 of them, 2 couples, the best of friends, as they prepare to set out on an entirely new way of life.
It's mid-July, and at Wembley Conference Centre, the Salvation Army is holding its annual commissioning ceremony. The commissioning is the culmination of 2 years' intensive training for the cadets. The lectures, coursework and placements are designed to prepare them for the challenges they'll face as officers.
The initial standing and waiting to come on, and then actually just seeing all your friends walk on, you know, and the next step was going to be you walking on, and knowing that there were family and friends there supporting you. Sort of at that time, you know, it really sunk in that this is it. You know, I'm giving my life to God completely. This was a public recognition of that.
On that day, everything had come together. Two years of study, heartache, fun, sharing fellowship with people. I'd come to a point.
So I've surprised myself at what I've been able to do, and I've done it. I have actually done it, and that's a bonus mark for me, I think.
The 4 of us were sat at the front row. It was just fun to be next to some of the best friends that you've got in the world. So, and share it together.
God bless the preparers of the way, and may God make them, by grace, pathfinders and pioneers for God. God bless them, everyone. But it's the Lord Jesus Christ who calls you and says, walk my way. He is our preparer of the way. There is only one God, who is infinitely perfect. Cadet Michael Ness. Nick, your calling from God to be an officer fills us all with joy. In the name of God, therefore, we now ordain you as a minister of the gospel of our Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ. We commission you as an officer of the Salvation Army with the rank of captain.
At that moment when I received my commission, the piece of paper, the scroll that they hand you, it suddenly hit me that that's it. It starts now.
The removers have arrived at the training college, and the newly commissioned officers are getting ready to head out for their new appointments. The West family is going north. They've been appointed as officers of Oldham Citadel Corps near Manchester. It'll be the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. But officership hasn't always been part of their plan.
When I first met Mick, probably within a year, he said to me that I want to be an officer, and I said, well, if that's the case, we finish, because I've got no intentions whatsoever.
I knew at 17, 18 that I was called to full-time ministry as a Salvation Army officer. As I went through my life, I met Verity. As that developed, it was always there, Verity. I hadn't had the calling, and I was just so frustrated and unhappy about that I was desperately wanting to do this officership thing. So it caused a lot of friction, a lot of petty arguments. All started by me, by the way. Let's just clear this up.
It just got to the point where I'd completely shut off. You know, didn't want to listen anymore. It was a bit of a nagging, really, from Mick. So at the point where Mick left it, I think that's where God really began to work. So that went on for about a year, and then we went to Roots, and that's when I had my call into officership, and sort of everything started being confirmed and falling into place. My faith grew stronger, My relationship with God was just absolutely amazing, really. And I think that part of my journey has really put me in good stead now for officership.
Packing's nearly finished in the flat downstairs, where Dave and Bev Womersley and their 2 children have been living.
I got married when I was 20 and we set up home. I had Nathan, our first child, when I was 24. And I guess it wasn't until Megan was born that we had a real sort of crossroads in our life.
At the time, Bev was a nursery nurse, and Dave had a painting and decorating business.
I weren't seeing my children, and I was working all hours just to keep money coming in and all that. And then this opportunity came for Mallorca, and that's really where God started to work hard in with me.
The family moved to Mallorca after Dave and Bev both got jobs at the Corps in Palma, the island's main city. It was while they were there that they felt called to officership.
We just got involved with the whole Corps and really got involved with the activities, and God sort of called us both then and said, you know, come and do this for me. And that's what we did, and we're here now.
The packing's done, and it's time to say goodbye. The 40 newly commissioned officers are going their separate ways to begin work as captains in the Salvation Army.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
The Womersleys are heading for Bargoed in Wales. Bargoed's a small mining town in southern Wales. The mine hasn't been running for nearly 30 years, but the Salvation Army has been here since the mine opened at the beginning of the last century.
The most daunting thing for me is people's expectations. I'm just a normal person with feelings like anybody else, and I think sometimes we expect an officer to be different. I wouldn't want to disappoint people, but at the same time I want them to just accept me for who I am. We are looking forward to getting our teeth into
What's the challenge for you?
and meeting new people.
Yes.
And
Hello.
just,
Megan.
This is Megan, say hello.
Hello.
It's a little community, so coming from London where you walk down the street and you don't talk to anybody, here you can stop in the street and just say hello, and people will chat and just ask you how you are and things like that, just out of the blue, so it's totally different.
Oh, so you're Melanie?
Yes. I just been at the community centre now.
I just told you to get a family.
The move has meant big changes for the children too. Both Nathan and Megan will soon be starting new schools.
It is going to be a bit scary, but I know I'm going to make all new friends, and I've got 2 people looking after me, so I've already got some friends. I'm nervous, but I mean, it's school. I've been to lots of new schools, so I'm used to it, so it's not that much of a bother. So
It's a big change. I think sort of the first few weeks, it's where reality sinks in, and it's like, gosh, I am now a Corps officer, and these people will rely on me, and I guess the responsibility just suddenly hits you as to the position you are in.
In the meantime, in Oldham, Mick and Verity and their 2 girls, Alice and Liddy, are getting ready to leave for the Sunday morning meeting at the Corps.
I mean, I can't believe now that it's 2 months almost since we left college. College for me, it was very much a foundation almost like the, you know, the foundations you put in a house, that the underneath stuff that will hopefully, in my mission for God, in my service for God, be the foundation on which I can strive to build better relationships, perhaps, the theory of things. It was a good firm foundation to move on. It were harvest time, and the fields were ready to be harvested. Like many other farmers, Uncle Tom was fully aware of the importance of this time of year. Did I think I needed college for 2 years? Yes, I would say that I had to have it in order to do and be what I'm going to be for God for the rest of my life.
Right, can any of you children name some of the things, the fruits that grow on trees? Apples. Joshua.
Thinking back, college prepared us for some of what we've experienced, but on the other hand, didn't prepare us for everything. It's been a bit of a shock. I mean, only this week I had a phone call from the police. A lady was suicidal. Could I go and visit her? You know, how can college prepare you for that?
As well as Sunday worship, the building's used for a range of community projects throughout the week.
On the first day at the centre, it was all very strange. Kept going round all the rooms and didn't know which key fitted which lock, and in some of the rooms I didn't even know what was in there. What's your setup then?
It's a destitution project for asylum seekers.
All right. But I think it was good to go in and actually think to ourselves that, you know, this is our church now and these are our people.
Oh, you Verity? All right. Sorry, nice to meet you. I met Mick yesterday. I'm not.
The first day of walking through the doors as the corps officer, whatever you want to call it, the spiritual leader, was emotions were all over. We were happy to be there, nervous about meeting new people, cautious of how we acted on the first day. So just on the street.
Just on the street.
Okay, someone might be able to do that actually. Can get it sorted out. Not early doors, but soon. You know, I've been a soldier, a member of a church, as a, you know, not an officer or anything like that for something like 20 years, and suddenly I'm the person on the other side of the fence who has to say the no's and the yeses and deal with the issues that come into me.
Whilst we've been at Oldham, we've actually had about 6 attempted break-ins and 1 actual break-in at the centre. And every time we have an attempted break-in, whatever, we have to pay out money to have the alarm reset or anything. So the money that we're pouring out for that isn't going into community programmes. But despite all the challenges and the heartaches that you might find, in 6 weeks, it's been really, really rewarding.
In Bargoed, Dave and Bev are leading the evening meeting.
Both me and Dave are pretty easygoing and laid back, so I'm hoping that we can sort of work together and encourage one another and support each other.
This evening we're looking at the 6th day when God created the animals and He created us. People in the corps have been helpful and friendly and made us feel welcome. We've picked up that a bit in the corps over the last couple of weeks of sort of people need teaching in community and sort of loving each other.
We got the babies.
Some of them have been in the army for years, some not so, but they've all got a lot of life experience, and I guess it'd be really sort of naive of me to think that I can't learn off them, despite being their leader.
My little vase.
Oh, really welcome addition to the church. Lots of new ideas, really enthusiastic.
Our hopes and prayers is that our church will grow, and I'm sure that with Bev and David's leadership, I'm sure that will happen.
If we all meet,
I guess it's an adventure, and an adventure can take you anywhere. And looking back now, it just seems like a jigsaw all fitting together. So God certainly knew what He was doing.
The barn dance tonight and the food and that, we're really excited because for me there were people there hopefully who you won't call as church people, you know, they come to the community programme and we've invited them to come in, and we're excited by the fact that we're going to spend some time with them and say, look, this is our church, this is what church can be like, and we want you to be part of it, or us to be part of your lives. I'm doing what God called me to do, what I want to do, and I actually feel like I'm being paid millions of pounds. I'm as happy as that.
This is where I should be. God has proved that time and time again. I was the one that was reluctant to go into officership, but I know for definite this is right, and I just get so much fulfilment out of what I'm doing. It's just, I love it.
Well, thanks to Mick and Verity, Dave and Bev for allowing us to film the first challenging days of Salvation Army officership. Human trafficking is now the fastest growing criminal industry. Every year, up to 2 million people, 80% of them women and children, are trafficked across international borders and forced into prostitution or bonded labour. Well, the Salvation Army is one of many organisations determined to address one of the most urgent human rights issues today. Two of those at the forefront of the campaign are with me now. Colonel Don Sewell and Duncan Parker of the International Development Department. Well, Don, what can the Army do about this problem?
Well, the Army has been looking very closely at this for the last 2 years. And very early on, after a deal of research, it was decided that because the issue is so big and trafficking covers many different aspects or forms of trafficking, that the Salvation Army would centre in on those who've been trafficked for purposes of sexual exploitation, which is very high. And that involves children and adults as well. And since then, many territories around the world have begun to develop a response to this huge problem.
You've seen some of them yourself, haven't you, in Bangladesh and other parts of the world?
Yes, I visited Bangladesh in my early research, and they have there workshops where women can come in and be taught a skill, so that instead of selling their bodies, they are able to maintain their lifestyle and improve their lifestyle by using the skill that they've been taught. And they've been having reading and writing lessons. Trust has been built up amongst the women in the brothels, and those that have suggested that they might want to leave have been helped by the Army, not only taught a skill, but followed through and helped to reintegrate back into community. But of course, what I saw in those brothels were young children, a 9-year-old whose family had too many children, and she was the last, and a girl. Because of the way she was neglected, she left, and she walked the streets and sold her body to young boys. And eventually she found her way into the brothel because she felt safer there. And such things happen the world around.
And the Army, I gather, Duncan, has programmes right around the world at the moment.
Absolutely, there's programmes in the Philippines, in Africa, in India, in Indonesia, all combating the issue of human trafficking, and we're trying to scale up in quite a large way to make sure that those programmes have a significant impact.
But the Helping Hand project is very much centred on Sri Lanka.
Absolutely. The Salvation Army there are very aware of the issue of human trafficking, and especially with regards to children. Even within a Salvation Army home in Sri Lanka, there are children who have been trafficked from China specifically for sexual exploitation. So working with the Salvation Army in Sri Lanka, the aim of the Helping Hand scheme this year is really to start to enable communities to understand the dangers that are out there for their children and for their women. Trafficking happens across international borders, but it also happens within Sri Lanka itself, and people are moved around the country to really satisfy the appetite for the tourist sex industry. So the Salvation Army are very aware of this and are seeking to do something about that.
And this was an issue that was addressed at Roots as well.
Absolutely. At Roots, the whole issue of sexual trafficking was highlighted to really engage the UK Salvationist, to help them understand that this issue not only affects the international community and the International Salvation Army, but it's something that we as a UK have to be aware of. People are trafficked into the UK, and there was a real call that the Salvation Army needs to be part of a response against this evil.
Now, there was a film about the issue shown at Roots this year. Let's have a little look at that now.
There are hundreds and thousands, millions of children and women living in poverty, but hundreds and thousands and millions of them have been offered a new life and a new hope. They have been offered the promise of work and jobs, the promise of money and food, the promise of opportunity and choice. But the offer comes from human traffickers, people who trade in men, women and children for their own profit. The reality of the promise is a life of slavery and exploitation, abuse and violence, fear and suffering. Every year, 2 million people are trafficked. Over 1 million of them are children. Thousands, millions, used by criminal gangs, used as child labor, used as prostitutes. I am a survivor of prostitution, a survivor of brutal beatings and rapes, a recovering heroin addict. 5 years out of the life, and I will never forget the fear, the pain, the knives and guns, and fist and tire irons and jail cells. I will never be quiet. Too many times I've been beaten near death, left for dead. The cops said it comes with the territory, being a worthless whore, a non-human. If I had been murdered, no one would have remembered my name. We are called to know them. We are called to remember them. We are called to speak out for them.
Well, a very powerful message there, Duncan, but how is this video going to be used?
Well, it's specifically aimed at for the Helping Hand 2006. So the first thing that we hope is that Salvationists will get hold of a resource pack which has a video and a DVD and some information about the issue of human trafficking, so that we can all start to understand this evil that is permeating our communities. But secondly, we're hoping that people will raise funds. The Salvation Army in Sri Lanka specifically will be looking to us to raise funds to start their program in Sri Lanka, so that Salvationists there can start to combat trafficking in their communities also.
It will assist them to do prevention programs, to protect those who are being trafficked, and to help to control the traffickers, actually possibly to bring them to justice.
And Don, what sort of feedback are you getting from Salvationists?
The feedback that I've been getting from around the world is that they really feel they must do something. That they are in a position where they ought to be able to do something. It's like going back to our history, where Eliza Armstrong was used in the maiden tribute. The army has done it before and can do it again, and has the passion to bring about a change. And I have seen how the response has snowballed around the world. Every person in this territory has the opportunity to make a difference and to bring about change for those who are affected by trafficking.
Well, thank you both for joining us today, and best of luck with the campaign.
Thank you.
Now, what more appropriate way could we finish than to return to the Territorial Music School? It's the final festival at Reading, the song Rise Up. Till next time then, goodbye.